The following is a presentation of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. It's time for Inside Virginia Tech Wrestling. Now, let's join your host, three-time National Wrestling Writer and Broadcaster of the Year, Jason Bryant.
Another episode of Inside Virginia Tech Wrestling, heading to Blacksburg with a man who has a giant computer and he knows how to use it, Ty Walz. Welcome back to the program, sir.
How you doing, Jason? Good to be back.
I said beforehand I was fat and happy, and you said maybe not so much on your end. We'll talk about the Ty Walz Super Blacksburg diet here in a little bit, but your college career has come to an end. You're already jumping into the freestyle things, but while we talk about your college career, you end as a three-time All-American, and when you look back at it and be like, okay, yeah, I had a pretty good career. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I did better than my expectations coming into college, coming out of high school. I really didn't know where I was going to be at just because I was so kind of raw and still kind of new to the sport, so I didn't know where my college career is going to take me. I think I exceeded the expectations of my family very much so. They were definitely surprised that I turned out to be pretty good when I went to college too. But happy. I wouldn't change a single thing. Obviously, you want to win every match and be a multiple-time national champ, but that's not the way it worked out. But I think it ended up giving me a good little chip on my shoulder and also a lot of motivation moving into this next chapter of my career.
He finished as a three-time All-American, joining Devin Carter and Nick Brissetta as Hokies that have done that. When you look back at your legacy and what you want to be remembered for at Virginia Tech, have you given any thought on what you want that to be?
Well, while I was there and while I was competing, I had always dreamed of being the first national champion. Obviously, I wasn't able to accomplish that goal. So with my freestyle career taking off and representing the Southeast Regional Training Center and everything like that, I'd hope that I could make that goal and be remembered as our first Olympian or first world champ. I think that's kind of new grounds for our program, and I'd love to be the guy that kind of steps on it first.
So you're just going to jump right into freestyle. Might as well just jump right into the questions. The first thing people are wondering is when you entered the U.S. Open at 97 kilos, and for those of you like us, normal people who don't deal with the metric system, although in wrestling we kind of have to deal with the metric system, that's 213 pounds. When was the last time you weighed 213 pounds?
It was probably either my sophomore or my junior year of high school, but I was still pretty big back then. I would have been pretty light to weigh that much, but
because that's like the weight class goal of mine. I mean, some of these people are talking about entering the veterans. I have no preconceived notions of thinking about entering the veterans. I just want to make the weight again. Because that was, 215 was my high school weight class. My 20-year reunion's coming up, and I'd be like, I love to make the weight. So let's just start on the Ty Walz, how to eat in Blacksburg in the off-season diet. Because usually when people are at the off-season and the food options that are in Blacksburg, you're going the other way.
Yeah, it was challenging too, and it was a weird time to be because it was kind of close to graduation, and a lot of my friends were going out, and it was a good time to kind of let your hair down and stuff like that. But for me, it was kind of the opposite. I really had to kind of tighten things up even more so than during the season because I couldn't eat whatever I wanted. So it was a really different time, and it was pretty challenging. But I've learned more in the past couple weeks, not just about freestyle wrestling, but also about how to lose weight and how to do all the little things to get smaller. It made me. I kept joking with guys where I'd say I kind of wish I paid more attention at the start of practice when the coaches were talking about cutting weight. I never really thought I'd be in this situation, and now I'm like, I could use some advice now. It's crazy though.
I don't need to cut weight. I'm a heavyweight. Come on. Well, what were you normally walking around at during the season?
The day I started my cut, it was like 30 some days before the Open. I was about 244.
So let's do some quick. Yeah, so 244, quick math. Let's see. Well, that's a good. Okay, even 31 pounds in 32 days.
Yeah, about.
Okay. We're going to have a discussion off the air about that because that's about as long as I've got to my 20-year reunion. And granted, I've had a pretty good year. I don't really need to like. I mean, I was always kind of the chunky guy anyway, so it's not like I need to get in shape for this thing because I don't know, I've announced the Olympics, but that's the focal point of my reunion. But with the weight loss, I mean, I was in a college town. I've been to Blacksburg. I've eaten and drank my fair share of the bubblies and the burgers in that town. So the hardest thing you had to give up during the 32 days of shedding that weight?
Probably Chipotle. That was a little easy, just because I couldn't eat it that much during that time, and it's something I'd eat all the time, especially in summertime. It's nice out. I don't know. Summertime and Chipotle go together really well, and I had to kind of cut back on that. I did get some in between the Open and World Team Trials, though, which is good.
Okay, then the other thing about people dropping, you drop in a weight class, you're like, okay, I wrestled in the same weight class as Kyle Snyder during the college season. Now, I'm just going to go back down to the same weight class he is in, where he coincidentally is, the Olympic and world champion. Why make the cut for that weight class?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of either way you go, you have really good guys, so it's kind of negligible. But the way I thought about it is, why not chase the top dog? And for me, I would have to thank Kyle Snyder a little bit, because he's kind of made every decision that I've made in the past couple months of my life really easy. Where if I was thinking about maybe eating something that wasn't so good for me, or if I was thinking about going out with my friends and drinking one night, it was easy to make that decision, because all I had to do was think about what he was doing, and because he's my main competition, it's real easy to kind of know what he's doing, and it's easy to say he's probably doing the right thing. So I think you have an advantage training against the best guys. Plus, I could always get bigger and fatter and go back up to heavyweight if I really needed to. But for now, I feel like I should have the ultimate and the biggest goal I could possibly have.
Interesting choice of words. You didn't say bigger and stronger. You said bigger and fatter.
No, I get bigger and stronger. But yeah.
Then a lot less time sitting in front of that super gaming machine. And let's just stop for a second and explain what the heck I'm talking about. So as Ty's getting this interview set up, most of the time I'll call the cell phone. Sometimes I'll use Skype, and sometimes some coaches on various shows on the network are a little more.
Hello?
Yo.
Hey, sorry. I don't know whether your phone or my phone cut out, but I lost the call.
Yeah, I noticed. And it was funny because I'm just going to set it up right now, because as much as I'm talking about technology, and then the call drops like immediately. So
I know, I was listening and I was like, uh-oh, I can't hear anything anymore.
Yeah.
I know, that's pretty ironic.
So what I was saying is some coaches have a little different issue with technology than others, and sometimes I'm calling a cell phone, sometimes I'm calling Skype, sometimes we're using some web RTC type of stuff. So I'm asking Ty, like, well, we got to figure out, we got to get you guys on the board with the technology here. And he sends me a picture of his computer. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, okay, yeah. Quote, I don't need help with the technology. Just need a microphone for this bad boy. So what he's got is, I'm assuming, is that World of Warcraft?
No, I don't play World of Warcraft. That one's a little bit older. I did a little bit when I was little. I play some Counter-Strike Go. Right now I'm playing a heavily modded version of Skyrim, which is probably the equivalent of World of Warcraft. It's extremely nerdy, and I feel weird even talking about it.
Yeah, because this is one of those computers that has like the red glowing lights, the clear opening. I mean, it is. You look at this thing and you know, okay, this is a gamer machine. So having to cut the weight, you're spending a lot less time in front of this thing, because you don't lose any weight by sitting on your duff playing these. What is it? Is this considered an MMORPG?
It's just an RPG.
I don't know. I'm just, everything I know about those, I'm thinking of that episode of South Park where they just went nuts on the Warcraft. I don't know what Hearthstone is. All my geek friends are like, yeah, we're playing Hearthstone. And I don't mean geek in a negative connotation. They call themselves this. So I'm like, they're like, I'm watching Twitch. I cannot believe I'll like watch my friends play Twitch. I'm like, on Twitch. I'm like, what are you doing? Anyway, long story short, you've got the gaming here. So a lot less time in front of this machine.
Yeah, a little bit, but for the most part, it kind of helps. I can kind of distract myself. I'm hungry. If I just ate a smaller dinner and I have to go to bed a little hungry, it's easy. I could just play video games and kind of ignore it. it's kind of funny when my character eats in the game too. I'm like, oh, look at that, he's eating, and I'm not. A freaking virtual character eats more than I do.
Yeah, because at that time of day, usually the food decisions aren't really that great. It's usually like leftover B-dubs or a Hot Pocket or something. Nobody wants that.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, as we move into the time that you have, now that you're no longer a full-time student, you're now a member of the staff. Obviously, there's the questions on, you going to do your continuing education at Virginia Tech while on the staff, and how's all that going to work?
No, I just have one more class to take in order to graduate. So I was able to walk at graduation and do all that stuff, but I still have to take another class. So next semester I have one 3-credit class left, and then that's basically it for my education, and that is pretty awesome too, because I'm basically getting to do exactly what I wanted to do every day, except now I don't have to go to class, which is wonderful, and it really enables you to train the way you want to with a lot of free time, and of course I have other little responsibilities, and it gives me a lot more free time to travel too and compete. Like recently, Jared Haught and I went up to Ohio RTC and we were able to train with some really good guys up there, and that was possible with our free time and of course our support of the training center.
Yeah, with that free time, so you'll have time to coach, wrestle, and play video games. Got it. Those are basically, that was my roommates in college, except for
Does it get any better than that though? I really don't think it does.
If you could add maybe a fishing pole in there, perhaps I would totally dig that. But now, moving forward to the coaching staff, I mean, you now got Frank Molinaro and Jared Freyer on staff in this whirlwind of a season. Let's just get your perspective on the timeline of February. All this stuff goes down. Coach Dresser is being courted by Iowa State. What are you guys hearing? How are you guys responding through all this? And then ultimately he makes a decision after the national duel match against Nebraska.
I'm sure there's been a lot of interviews about this stuff that kind of covered the whole situation during the season, and I think it was just a testament of how close our team was when Dresser had announced that he was leaving. We kind of knew it was coming. We saw it on social media and stuff like that, and that's basically what we were kind of concerned about, because he was kind of telling us like, maybe thinking about it, and then we saw it on social media that it was released already and that he was leaving, and we were like, oh, all right, well. But it was all crazy, and once things cleared up and we actually got the true story from Dresser and heard from him ourselves that he was parting ways, we kind of and Roby was going to become the interim head coach. We kind of just like tightened up our belts and knew that what had happened was going to make things a little different and a little bit more challenging. But really, things didn't change much. We have our formula and we stuck to it, and just because there's different people sitting in different offices doesn't really change anything, and that's kind of how our team took care of it. But moving on to the future now, which is a little more important than what had happened, is the new staff that we have in with Freyer and Molinaro is absolutely incredible. I wish I would have known these guys for my whole life. I feel like I missed out not getting to know them earlier in my career and not being around them. But Frank is incredible and like inspiring to watch train, and it's awesome to be able to train right beside him and see what he does on a daily basis and pick his brain and see how he thinks and just listen to him talk basically every day before practice. The guy is absolutely incredible. And then Freyer I feel like he is just so naturally just a coach. I feel like he just so easily kind of coaches, and it kind of the way he wrestles too. I've gotten to watch him wrestle in the room and absolutely destroy some of our guys on our team. And I'm not going to say this on air. Actually, even though we are on air, I'm going to say he may be making a comeback. He may be. I'm trying to push him because I've watched him wrestle, and I feel like he should just start wrestling again. He's really incredible. But no, the staff we have right now is unbelievable, and they're going to make our team a lot better, and things are looking bright.
If you're trying to talk Freyer into a comeback by being on this show, I think this might be the last time you're on this show as a staff member. So that could be interesting.
He should. I seriously, I was just blown away every time I get to see him wrestle somebody, and then he's so good. I'm like, all right, it's time to make a comeback. We joked around about it a little bit, and he texted me the other day and told me he totally is. So
Well, we'll wait and see on that one because we got Buccaneers stuff to talk about. Anyway, as we talk about the hiring of Frank and Jared, the whole point I think from Dresser was you were going to stay on staff, kind of come on as a volunteer. You kind of knew that was kind of in the cards for you, but the decision that Whit Babcock says, okay, Tony Roby's our guy. That's got to be exciting for you. And then, okay, you're kind of in line, ready to go. And then 2 Olympians are added to the staff. I mean, you said you talked about you wish you'd known these guys your entire career, but when the jaw drops in one half, okay, wow, Molinaro. Oh, whoa, now we got Frayer. I mean, that's got to just get you excited too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of talked to Roby before we had brought them in, and we were just kind of throwing names around of guys that we should maybe bring in. And both of them, him and I, kind of said the same exact names, and it just ended up just working out perfectly. I mean, and coming from a guy who at that time needed a freestyle coach and needed somebody to run our training center and run our practices and stuff like that, it couldn't have been more perfect to have not just one of those guys, but both of them come in and start training guys in our team and myself.
Circling back to the competition aspect of things, and when you finally made the weight, you get to Vegas. What's cutting that last kilo like? Prepping for competition.
It really wasn't that bad. I was kind of nervous just because I had never done it before. But I'd gotten down. I'd seen the number on the scale just not that many times, so I was a little nervous, and it was a little cold where we were warming up at, but it ended up working out perfectly. I was like 4 or 5 pounds over. I go pounds and then I check in kilograms, but yeah, I was like 4 pounds over, got a drill in, and I was pretty much good right after that. So it was great. I felt really accomplished too because it was something that I was really new to, and it was great. Now I kind of get to, and I feel like as a coach you should know how to do it because cutting weight is a huge part of the sport, and now working with guys in the future, I can kind of understand where they're coming from a little bit, and once I continue to master it a little bit more, it'll help and be more beneficial and make me even more useful as a coach to understanding that.
I mean, and you wrestled freestyle through, high school and in periodic events throughout the college career, but you weren't really known as like, okay, yeah, well, once the season's over, boom, here comes, I'm going to try to make a world team or something like that. So was there a little bit of pressure on you to say, all right, I'm in Vegas, I need to qualify or else I'm going to have to try to find another tournament to qualify for the world team trials?
Yeah, that's what I realized is kind of hard because you have to worry about your weight and you have to worry about wrestling too, which is something that I was really new to. I know I only had one thing to worry about and making sure I packed my shoes in my headgear, and now I had to worry about not eating too much and wrestling at the same time. So it kind of became real after I lost my first match out there. I was like, oh wow, I really didn't expect to lose, especially kind of this early, and it was a newer tournament, wrestling new guys and a lot of names I didn't recognize. I didn't know how they wrestled. It's not like heavyweight where everybody has like 1 or 2 moves and you know exactly what they're going to do. It's just different. You don't know everybody, and of course freestyle is I'm still a little green in freestyle, and I need to figure it out a little bit more. But yeah, it was a little stressful, and I felt like I should have made it a little bit more fun because it was also new. It was fun, but going into world team trials, I definitely took a lot away from that, and there's really no pressure now, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, speaking of world team trials, they're coming up this coming weekend in Lincoln, Nebraska, Devaney Center. This is probably going to be the biggest event you wrestle in outside of the NCAA championships. I mean, we're looking at almost every single match in the men's freestyle side of it, which is only men's freestyle in Lincoln. You can look across weight classes. It's like I used to call it, or actually I still call it, concentrated excellence, because there are no scrubs in this tournament. Like, you're like, all right, first round match, I might draw a guy from like, the wild card from the SoCon at the Nationals or something. No, you're probably going to draw somebody that's got some NCAA credentials. And, what's it like to go into an event of this magnitude knowing like, okay, I'm a 3-time All-American, and I'm probably lower on the list of people that are credentialed in this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like I remember I realized it when I came out of high school, because in high school you'd pin like 3 kids, and then in the finals maybe you'd have a tough match, and then in college your first 2 matches maybe are a little bit difficult, and most likely you're going to have a tough match. Like every match in college is pretty hard. You're going to get tired, and now even more at this level, it's even harder, and the stakes are raised a little bit more too. And every match you have is tough, and you have to be really ready for it. And that's what's kind of, like you said, how it's a concentrated excellence. You really have to do almost everything right if you want to succeed. You can't go off first round and not be ready to go and still win. You have to be ready to go, and just because the level of competition is so high, and it's much more different than in college.
What's interesting is I'm looking at the weight classes between 97 kilos, 125 kilos, which is 275 pounds. So if you're going to stay at your normal weight class, here's who you'd be contending with. Nick Wisdowski. Let's be honest, he's kind of had your number. Tervel's retired, so we probably wouldn't see him. Tony Nelson, 2-time national champ. Don Bradley, junior world champ. Zach Ray's been on a world team and won an NCAA title. Bobby Telford is gigantic. Justin Grant has super good freestyle experience. Nathan Butler's a junior world team member. So no tough outs in that one. And then you're thinking, okay, well, let's go to Snyder's weight. Not exactly what people's like, I don't need to make a world team. Let's go through, the world champ. Dustin Kilgore, NCAA champ. Ivan Gadsden, NCAA champ. Micah Burak, All-American. His brother Nathan, All-American. I mean, you're sitting down there. It's like, okay, it's like a thinner field, but it's really not. So, I mean, you got to look at that and be like, this is going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so exciting, too, because kind of every win you get is really, really rewarding, and you can learn so much in that match and stuff like that. And it's just, I don't know. I'm just grateful that I can go out there and I can compete and wrestle with those guys and try and represent the training center well, and then come back with that experience and spread it to my teammates and kind of show them and that they can succeed at this level and that they should work towards this as well. And it's just awesome. I feel like I've been walking on air ever since I kind of started training and school had ended, and I could kind of just focus on doing what I'm doing, because I really do wake up and do exactly what I want to do every single day, and competing is kind of just my focal point at the end of the day when I go to sleep. So it's great. It's everything. It is life.
One thing I know that some of the Hokie Nation that get into the freestyle may have some questions about is, one, you represent the Southeast Regional Training Center, but now your larger club, Titan Mercury Wrestling Club. How did you line up with Titan Mercury to have them throw you some sponsorship and get to wear that singlet with the helmet and the wings, and it's pretty cool gear they have there.
Yeah, the gear is sweet. We when I showed up at Vegas, we actually were able to pick some up, and it was so cool. Just because I had seen it since I was little, and I'd watched guys wear it and all that stuff, and it's weird to think that I'm wearing it now too. It's crazy, but Frank had set me up with Titan Mercury and got everything connected and working, and I got to meet with some of the people that work for Ty Mercury, and I've had emails and text messages back and forth, and it's tremendous what they do to help not just myself, but a lot of people wrestle and travel and compete, and they make you look good while you do it too. That's for sure.
Yeah, and so from a funding situation, how does that work? I mean, you're still relatively, like you said, green in the freestyle. Is it something that through the club you start to say, okay, you win more tournaments, they provide you a little bit more funding, or how does that whole scenario work for those who are unfamiliar?
Well, I'm not actually that familiar with it as well either, especially with Titan Mercury. I'm just trying to be as good as I can for them. I figure they'd like me more if I won and did better. So that's what I'm immediately trying to do right now. But as of now, yeah, they help me out, and especially with travel, and they make it possible. And behind them is the donors and the supporters of the Southeast Regional Training Center that ultimately make what I do possible and give me the means to live here and to train and do what I love every day.
We look forward to next season. There were several Hokies that wrestled at the University Nationals. And how does this offseason work, prep these guys to get into, we're a couple weeks after school's ended. We're in the offseason, but we're already starting to look for next season.
Yeah, that's what's well, a lot of them are younger guys, so they weren't most of them were coming off of an NCAA season and at nationals and stuff like that. So a lot of them their last open they wrestled was probably in like January or February. So I feel like most of them are probably eager to compete, and it's good to do that because the more competition you have, obviously the better you're going to get. So we had a lot of guys go up there and compete. We had Kyle Nordstrom and Andrew Dunn take 8th. So it was great for those young guys to get out there and wrestle guys that they're going to be wrestling for the next couple of years of their college career.
And you're going to be working with Dunn, quite a lot because obviously he's a heavyweight. What do you expect from him in his Hokie career?
I expect a lot, for sure. Just because I get to wrestle with him firsthand in practice, I know what he's capable of and I know what he can do. So obviously I want to get that to produce on the mat. I want to see how much. I feel like I challenge him a lot, and other people I expect a lot of him, but I just want him to make sure he expects the same thing out of himself. And I think he has high goals, and he knows what he has to do to accomplish those things too. So I'm confident in him, and like you said, he's a guy that I work with a lot. So I want to see those results of working with each other.
In case you're intending on seeing Ty Walz wrestle this weekend, it'll be Saturday, June 10th, is the all-day freestyle. The junior world team trials are on Friday, June the 9th. The senior world team trials on Saturday, June the 10th at the Devaney Center in Lincoln, Nebraska. If you cannot make it out to Lincoln, because that's a bit of a haul from Blacksburg if you're driving, but Hokie Nation, if you're in and around the area, it's in Lincoln, and if you can't make it, streamed live on Flow Wrestling. So, Ty, any last thoughts about how you capped off your career in Blacksburg and what you're looking through as to start the next phase of your life? Instead of having to, I would say having to make weight, but now you're still going to be doing that. But now having to not weigh in 16 times a year and, wrestle, so to speak.
It's still all surreal. And I'm just thankful and really grateful for what I get to do and to be able to do exactly what I want to do. The other day, I was kind of joking around with my girlfriend the other day, and we were driving around. She's like, literally nothing changes for you, huh? Because I had to go to practice earlier, and then I had to go back to practice again later on that day, and it ruined our plans of the day. And she's like, literally nothing changes for you right now, except you don't have to go to class. And I was like, exactly. And she's like, that's actually really awesome. I was like, it really, really is. So I'm thankful for the people that make that possible, and thankful for this opportunity too.
So how soon are you going to try to find a steakhouse or something after you make weight?
I immediately, actually, Roby and I at the Open, we went out to Outback, and they actually did up nice. I'm not a big Outback guy, but...
Wait, okay, stop. You are in the city that has probably the greatest food in this country, and the diversity.
No, we went to Outback. Oh, don't remind me. But it was the closest thing. We weren't actually in the Strip. We were a little further off from it, so it's mostly chain restaurants out there.
Well, it's better than getting the $3.99 buffet steak that's just crap. So okay, you pick the lesser of three evils.
Yeah, and I've fallen for the $9.99 porterhouse special there too. I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. And then you get it, and it's just terrible.
Yeah, I'm actually thawing out some ribeyes and T-bones right now. It's the last bit of the beef from the wintertime. I've got the grill ready to go. It's actually, the snow's finally melted here in Minnesota. So looking forward to seeing you out there, Ty. I'll be on the microphone. So if you're in the vicinity of Lincoln, you're probably going to hear me before you see him wrestle. But Ty, thanks for the time. Congrats on the career. And we'll be with you on staff outside of throwing Jared Frayer under the bus. You'll be on this show quite frequently, I would assume.
I hope so. I was kind of sad last Matt talk we had. I didn't know if we were going to have any more, but I'm glad there'll be more in the future.
Yes, that makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. So anyway, guys, stay away from the hot pockets, and we'll be good to go.
I will do. I'm all about avocados.
This show is part of the Matt Talk Podcast Network. For more wrestling podcasts, head over to MattTalkOnline.com.